I did want to bring up that opening, which was such a really great misdirect, because I thought that we were watching baby Din be initiated, and that was just a really great kind of, I don't, would you call it a red herring, or just sort of like a fake out that then Din and Grogu kind of sweep in on the Naboo starfighter, which kind of confuses me. I'm a little confused about how Din is feeling about his relationship with the other Mandalorians. Like, he knows Bo-Katan is sort of like the opposite of his ideals, but he still wants to follow her and like that mission. But then he is also banished from the Armorer, but he's still keeping an eye on them and keeping them safe. So I was like, was he just hanging around waiting for them to get attacked, or trying to stay in their good graces?
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing there patrolling, but I kind of see him as he's a character wanting reconciliation between the two factions, or like he has a picture of Mandalore in his mind, and he wants to give the Darksaber to Bo-Katan, but like the Armorer has provided a way of like redemption, and he's like, I'm gonna go for it, but I don't want to be alone. Like, there's got to be something after, redemption. So
yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I don't know. For me, this episode was so unbelievably like paint by numbers, which is why the story, I think I gave it like 2.5 out of 5 stars. Where, yeah, I mean, look, like it's not, or no, sorry, 2.6. So I give it a lot of love.
ooh.
Overall, I mean, Christian, you gave this episode an 85.6%, Amanda 78.4%, and me a 69.2%. I don't think it's that bad of an episode. Sure, the immersive universe was high. The music, I didn't think there was like there wasn't anything new that Ludwig Göransson presented that was fantastic. It was fine. It was a lot of the same stuff, and that's what this episode felt like to me. Present a lot of the things we already know, we already love, and just retouch on some of these things. I thought the characters were okay. Again, the pirates were kind of campy to me. There wasn't like, I wasn't like really that into it. I'll touch more on Grief Karga in a bit here.
High Magistrate Grief
Yeah.
Karga to you, mister.
Yeah, who's
I will say
also
they
Go
did
ahead.
lean heavily into the pirates. Like when he's like Avast, I was like, "Dude, okay,
Yeah.
all right, all
Space
right."
Do
pirates.
they say Avast in that galaxy?
Yeah,
They
it-
say a
First
lot
I
of
never
things.
heard.
I loved the pirates personally.
Yeah.
I thought it was great to just have it built the immersive universe for me to see. Yes, pirates used to come to this spot all the time, and now they're no longer welcome.
Mhm.
And Grief Karga had to stand his ground. And then, of course, we have the dogfight out there, and we're introduced to this Oscar the Grouch type sea monster pirate captain.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of the things that I loved about Clone Wars, where you just kind of have these random villains that make sense to run into randomly in a galaxy full of incredible creatures.
Yeah.
In past seasons of Star Wars series, especially the live action ones, I've griped about the lack of species diversity. So I loved that we got some front and center, really great practical special effects makeup in a lot of these scenes.
Oh, yeah, and the SFX on
Mm.
everything with that creature was awesome.
Mhm.
Like, and I noticed that close-up shots where I noticed they were like, it was great CGI, but all the close-up shots were absolutely, they looked like they were real props.
Mhm.
And everything was done in that way for all the clothes, which is how it's supposed to be, which is awesome. I will say KG's joined the chat, and I don't think there's any time KG said anything where I've disagreed to this point. Usually she backs me up too, a lot more often than not, especially with Boba. 6.5 out of 10 now. I did, again, I said 69.2, so I gave a little bit more. And that Mossy Jones was too cliche. Yeah, it felt very Pirates of the Caribbean, and it was like, I almost heard Mando saying, as he was getting ready to flip the button, be like, "You'll always remember that today was that you almost caught Din Djarin." Click, boom, gone. Like I heard it. I heard it in my head, and
I did not.
that's what I saw.
Okay.
That's what I saw.
I feel like introducing this level of camp is what is needed for us to get Hondo Ohnaka on screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think-
Hondo's definitely one of my top 5 Star Wars characters of all time.
Yo.
And he is such a personality that you can't just like throw him into like a super serious like Mandalorian like no
Put
camp,
him in Andor, doesn't work.
Yeah. No.
My friends.
I definitely see where you're coming from. And what you mean by being a paint by numbers. And there are certainly things I took, issue with. Also, me and Element 7 always kind of joke back and forth whenever a character does something like brand new. We're like, oh, like he's a Mary Sue. Because the guy who has hated droids all of his life can now fix droids after they self-destruct, and then and he's also an ace pilot now after having driven his space
Clunky
Dodge Caravan for like
no kidding.
That was a space conversion fan with the curtains and stuff. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But it's awesome to see, and I feel like this show, The Mandalorian, I love that we can have something that's serious and dark like Andor, at the same time have something that is it was very fan servicey, but I was the fan being serviced, and so you mind it less. That's all.
That dog fight though, I thought was pretty cool.
It was
it
was like my favorite
part.
part. And the music I think shined the most in that scene. And it was just really cool to showcase. You're all just rallying behind. You want to cheer.
It felt like the animated shows, like that's what the pace and like the tone of it felt like to me, was a lot of those animated Clone Wars episodes. And like that's what this felt like.
You're here doing this thing. Now you're in this completely different environment, like setting up this part, and then you're in this part. And I liked it. I thought that was a great way to set it all up. You can see where all of these like paths are starting and where kind of the direction of the season wants to go then.
Yeah.
Well, I also feel like, and I've said it before, 30 minutes is way too short. It just feels like, okay, we're here. I want to be a Mandalorian again. And she's like, bruh, I told you what I've already told you. You got to go to the waters of Mandalore. He's like, okay, I'm going to still do that. And he's like, all right, I guess this is the way. Thanks for
but
saving
he also
us.
brings that crystal too, and kind of like shakes her faith a little bit, but shows her like, hey, everything you've been spewing at me, look at this. And she like swallows it, and then she's like, all right, we'll still go.
Yeah. Well,
so that crystal, was that from Book of Boba Fett? Because I do not remember that at all.
Yeah.
I think that's new.
Do you know Darth Choco? Do you know where that came from?
And no,
I thought it was new. I thought they played it off as like just new. It happened.
You haven't read the 39th Mando book in the sub comments of Section A, Plot B within the comic itself?
Not a real fan. No, I did. We kind of touched on it earlier in our conversation, but it was a pretty bold choice to just like not mention Book of Boba Fett at all, except like in the recap. Like last season,
previously, it was like previously on The Mandalorian, but hope you watch Book of Boba Fett.
And it did have that clip of Mando and Paz Vizsla, and as I saw that, I was like, wait, we just rewatched season 2, and I don't remember that happening.
Yeah,
that was all part of Book of Boba Fett. Like that makes
hinges
no
very
sense.
much on it.
Yeah.
Well, I had someone today ask me, and she was like, I'm so excited for Mando season 3. And I'm like, great. She's like, yeah, I didn't watch Book of Boba Fett. Not going to watch it. That's not going to be like a problem. I'm like, well,
not really, apparently.
I guess not. As long as you don't really remember how it ended for season 2.
You can watch the Mando episodes of the Book of Boba Fett.
That's what I told her to do. I'm just like, go back and watch. It's pretty much Mandalorian. Just go back and watch that.